Hi everyone, it feels really strange and wonderful to be filming for you again. As you know, I've been away from YouTube for almost 2 years. Thank you so much for keeping in touch with me on Instagram. As you know, we welcomed our second son, we moved our entire family to Singapore, we travelled, and of course there's been shopping. A lot of shopping. Probably one of the biggest differences you can see straight away is that I'm not filming on my bed. We're renting a 7-bedroom terrace, so I'm using one of the bedrooms to house my collection, and this is also where I hide away from the kids. One day I would love to be back full time and break down all of my new purchases for you, but I must admit that today I'm only back briefly. So many moons back, I was gifted this Birkin 25 by the Chinese wholesaler iBagshow.com. It's a fake, and the only reason I accepted it was because I wanted to dissect this replica against 3 genuine Birkins that I own to really illustrate to you the difference in quality craftsmanship and design detailing that you get between a $300 bag versus a $20,000 bag. There has always been demand for counterfeits, but what was once worn on the down low and considered secretly shameful is now celebrated and normalized on platforms like TikTok and Instagram. Designer dupes and replicas are generally now deemed highly desired and socially acceptable. Today we're going to start by comparing the bags, followed by the packaging, but my real goal is to have a conversation with you regarding this new social movement we're experiencing. What does it mean when we subvert the exclusivity of luxury and instead make it widely attainable? What's the difference between a dupe and a fake? Is there any real value in owning something authentic? I'm going to address all these ethical and philosophical queries in part 2 of future upload. Thank you so much to my wonderful subscribers for sticking by for so long, and thank you to my new viewers for tuning in. Let's get into it. With Hermes's reputation for producing the finest leathers, this is one of the instant signs between a fake and authentic. All 3 bags are leather grain calf skin, and I have in my collection the Hermes signatures Togo and Clemence. You can see that with quality leather, it catches the light at any angle, while the fake lacks that animation and instead looks quite static. Close up, the leather on the fake lacks the depth and striking texture which you get with Hermes Togo and Clemence. It appears quite flat, and the pattern grain seems only lightly edged in comparison. With all Birkin construction, there is an exposed leather edge in the piping at the back base of the bag. While this detail is incredibly neat and discreet on the authentic bags, it immediately caught my eye on the fake as the leather appears to have been cut crudely and is bulging out. Another subtle detail by Hermes is that there's a light impression to the leather along the edges of the top flap, along the perimeter of the base of the handles, and also along all edges of the leather zipper pull in my baby Birkin. In comparison, the leather edges on the fake are flat and lack this embellishment. The inferior leather quality really comes to light when you look at the ancillary accessories, such as the tiret, which is the strap on the clochette. On an authentic Birkin, it's delicately and expertly finished. While the fake presents more like cardboard than leather, it's thin and flimsy to touch. Although manufacturers of fakes always claim hand stitching and hand finishing to a degree, Hermes stitches are simply finer and have an organic rather than repetitive touch. Another big giveaway is the difference in thread quality. On the fake, the thread has a coarse plastic look, and unlike the cotton thread used by Hermes, you can see the breakdown of individual fibers. When you inspect the fake, you will find certain points where the run of stitches gets awkward. It's probably only a millimeter or 2 off, but it's jarring when you're used to Hermes quality, which is pretty much perfection. Again, the tiret is the worst offender, with the stitches running down the middle of the strap instead of being aligned to one side as per Hermes custom. Wax seals are quite straightforward in that Hermes makes close to no mistakes. There may be the occasional dot out of place, but when you see messier edges repetitively, it's a major red flag. Hermes also doesn't take shortcuts and details every millimeter of their bag and bag accessories with the same level of precision and care. So while an authentic clochette and interior strap have even the tiniest edges wax sealed to perfection, you'll notice that the fake simply leaves both openings as raw leather. Looking inside the bag, you'll see that the wax seals in the authentic are straight and tidy, while the seals on the fake bunch up at the corners due to messier and less precise construction. Hermes wax is also superior in quality as it's thick and consistent, while the thinner wax on the fake easily reveals the underlying construction, and you can see the outlines of the separate pieces of leather underneath. As you know, brand new Hermes hardware comes sealed with plastic film, but here on the fake, they appear more like misaligned clear stickers, probably attached as an afterthought as they're already peeling off at the corners. The touré especially looks like it is wrapped in clear tape, which is messy and crude compared to Hermes's perfectly sized films. Compared to Hermes's 18 karat gold hardware, the gold tone hardware instead appears more yellow. It was near impossible for me to capture this for you on film, unfortunately. All hardware is sealed firmly on Hermes bags, so it's impossible for you to separate them from the leather. On the fake, meanwhile, it doesn't take much effort to lift the plaques off the sangles, and you can immediately see the gap at the edge and corners. The etching designs on single plaques vary between productions, as you can see between my 3 authentic Birkins, so I don't want to get into the particulars. But in terms of etching technique, the authentic inscriptions are hairline fine, shallow, and remain brilliantly bright or palladium. Meanwhile, the inscription on the fake is thicker, deeper, and looks grey to black as it's starting to oxidize. It's no secret that fake Birkins tend to deliver you the 2 keys on a cheap wire keyring. And while they've done a good job copying the design of the key, the fake is thinner and lighter, which is an instant giveaway when held in your hand. Comparing the locks between the fake and authentic Birkins, the fake is a fraction shorter and smaller in size, not to mention again the more yellowy hue. Do note that the font type size and placement tends to vary between authentic Hermes locks according to their production year, so it isn't immediately obvious how to determine the fake based off the content of the inscription. The way the logo appears inevitably varies depending on the type of leather it's stamped onto and the color of the stamp, but here on the fake, the main giveaway is that the logo relative to the touré is slightly off-center. When scrutinizing real versus fake Hermes bags, the condition of the leather tends to be the most glaring clue, followed by, in my opinion, the way the bag is put together. The Birkin is a complex design, and any shortfall in bag construction instantly signals inauthenticity. For this fake, the jarring shortfall is in the handle structure. You can tell something's wrong the moment you grip the fake, as the 2 handles sit against each other, so it feels thick, and you can sense the friction of the leather rubbing against itself. Meanwhile, the handles on the authentic are designed such that the front-facing handle nestles inside the back-facing handle, so you only feel the slender profile of one handle when held in your grip. You can see this difference when you view the handbags from behind. The authentic tucks the front handle underneath the back handle so you can see both, and they're varying heights, while the fake has 2 handles of the same size, so they simply sit on top of each other. As many of you know, the Hermes signature orange paper reveals a hidden pattern under UV light. But you don't need to get that fancy to distinguish the difference between a fake and authentic box. Looking at the ink, the fake is a straightforward black, while the authentic appears like a deep chocolate brown and animates under light. Hermes's ink is thickly pigmented with a matte sheen, while the fake is flat and so thinly printed that you can see the paper beneath showing through. The corners on the authentic box are neatly finished, and you can see the reinforcement beneath. Without this reinforcement, the paper on the fake lifts easily at the corners, and it's especially uneven inside the box where less care was taken by the factory. On the authentic box, the logo has an impression, and you can feel this depth along with the texture of the paper when you run your fingertips over it. It's not simply ink on paper like the fake. Interestingly, the fake dust bags are sized smaller, so it shows an attitude of the factory to cut labor and material costs. Hermes's drawstring is all cotton, so it's super soft yet sturdy. But the fake drawstring feels cheap as it's thin and likely made of polyester, which gives it that plastic wiry feel. The fake dust bag material is thinner and lighter, so when you compare them side by side, it lacks the volume and depth of the authentic dust bag. This also means it creases easily and stays wrinkled. Looking at the stitching, the fake dust bag features large machine stitches while the authentic maintains hand stitching. Look inside and it's even more jarring. The fake dust bag looks messy and cheap with a fraying, uneven hem, while the authentic dust bag remains tidy. Like the box, the logo print on the fake dust bag is thinner, so the underlying fabric weave shows through. Compare this with the authentic dust bag, which, despite more prominent fabric, has printed a much clearer logo design. Naturally, the fine details in the logo, such as the wheel spoke, lose their clarity in the fake print. Comparing stitching, the Hermes dust bag is stitched on both sides, while the fake is stitched together along the bottom and one side only. This asymmetrical inconsistency is quite an ugly shortcut. The color of the fake is slightly off, as it's the wrong shade of brown and the white print has a yellow hue to it instead. But the biggest signal is that the fabric feels thin and cheap. On an authentic ribbon, the white print is raised, so it feels like smooth braille against your fingers. Meanwhile, the ink feels scratchy and dry on the fake and lacks the raised depth of the authentic. It's interesting how these factories like to take some creative license. So here it's in the form of a bonus authenticity card and a similarly sized card with the manufacturer's details. With its own special built orange envelope, Shebag Birkins also include additional packaging accessories such as the tissue paper, receipt and raincoat, but none of these items are convincing as authentic Hermes tissue paper is not branded, the fake receipt is blank and it's printed on cheap cardstock, which was more like cardboard than paper, and the raincoat packaging came only with the printed information but no actual raincoat or plastic sleeve. So that brings me to the end of today's review, which is a comparison of this fake baby Birkin sent to me by iBagshow.com, a Chinese wholesaler, against the 3 authentic Birkins I own in varying sizes, colors, leathers, and hardware types. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you'll know that despite moving to Singapore and having a wonderful live-in maid, my boys still keep me insanely busy. So it will probably be a while before I can get in front of the camera again and film my next upload. In future, I would love to delve with you into part 2, which is a philosophical and ethical discussion of modern society's trend towards normalizing and glorifying fake luxury goods, driven very much by social media platforms and a younger brand savvy consumer base. Thank you so much to my wonderful subscribers for joining me today and for staying in touch with me on Instagram. I hope you all stay safe, happy and healthy until we next meet again.